So earlier this morning, down in this area, we had a bunch of blue jays and chickadees going crazy over something. And I thought maybe they've got a barred owl down here, so I came down to look. And I was surprised by what I found. There, tucked up in the branches of a white pine, is our smallest owl, the saw-whet owl. And he's been just sitting here through the morning, unfortunately getting a lot of attention from screaming blue jays and chickadees. So I don't want to stay here long. I took some pictures earlier that'll be a bit closer, and mainly this is just to document the sighting. It's quite rare that you see them around here. So that's a nice way to start off 2026 with a nice sighting of a saw-whet owl. And it's especially nice when you get it on your own property as well. You don't have to travel miles and miles to look at it. So as you can hear, chickadees and nuthatches are still mobbing the little owl, unfortunately. But the action has diminished quite a bit. So whether you're a beginning bird watcher or a long-term bird watcher, there's a few things you want to keep in mind when you're observing owls. First of all, many of them will try and stay still in the daytime, just sitting in one place. So if somebody discovers them, that often means a number of people are going to come and look at them, because everyone loves owls, and sometimes they're quite hard to see. And when they do show up, sometimes a lot of bird watchers want to come and look at them. And that can be distressing to the owl if a number of people keep coming throughout the day, even though they're trying not to bother it, but taking pictures usually at a minimum. But crowds of people looking at owls continuously over a period of days can really disturb owls and actually end up killing them. I remember years ago in the area where I lived, a rare boreal owl showed up. And people were coming to that thing over a course of weeks, taking photos largely, and many of them using flash. And in the end, that owl died, and when the autopsy was done on it, apparently its retinas in its eyes were burnt out. And that's what they figure caused it, was the continual flashes from photographers' cameras, just blinding the poor thing. So now if I find owls on my own, I tend not to just spread it around to everybody, because I don't want tons of people coming to look at them. Yes, it's nice to be able to go and see them, and I appreciate that to a degree. I don't typically do that, though. I don't typically run after owls that people have seen. Now, the exception might be out on a place like Amherst or Wolf Island when you get snowy owls showing up, but it's a little different there because they're out right along the roadways, so you can just drive along the roads and see them. And the same with short-eared owls. If you're in an area where they're active, you can just drive along typically and see them flying out over the field. So it's not the same as when you're going up to a known shrub that's had a saw-whet owl sitting in it, or a long-eared owl sitting in it for a few days or a week, and just crowd after crowd of people are coming to see it. So that's when it gets harmful, I think, to the owls. And I try to avoid that at all costs. Now, I think I've only seen saw-whet owls on the property here maybe 2 or 3 times. I documented one a few years ago that was sitting on a mullein plant at the back of our pit, and I put it up as a short so you could go and see that one. But other than that, I've maybe heard them calling out here a few times as well over the years, but I don't think they're very common at all. They probably just pass through occasionally, or maybe some live here as permanent residents, but I don't think they're very common. It's minus 14.5 degrees out here this morning as Bandit and I are going around our morning walk through the North Woods. I think we just heard a few coyotes howling to the south, but otherwise it's pretty quiet up here. The name Saw-whet Owl comes from the fact that the call of the saw-whet sounds like an old style saw being sharpened or whetted, and it has quite a screechy sound. I'll try and include a recording of a saw-whet here in the video just so people can hear it. But I guess it's reminiscent of the sounds that old sawyers used to make if they were manually filing their saw blades. So that's why it has its name, Saw-whet Owl. So I guess we're going to be getting another 5 centimeters of snow today. Now in Kingston, just 30 kilometers south of here, they're talking about 10 centimeters. So I'm not really sure we're going to be that much different from them based on the future radar that I look at. It shows a similar looking amount of snow heading our way, so we'll see. I guess we could get anywhere from 5 to 10. They're talking even about freezing rain this afternoon, but I don't see that really because the high is only like minus 8 today or something like that. So it's hard to believe rain could develop at all, but maybe it can high in the atmosphere if it's warm enough, and then freeze on the way down. It's certainly cold out here this morning. So the Northern Saw-whet Owl is generally considered to be the smallest owl in North America. There is an owl in the desert southwest of the United States, the elf owl, that's very similar in size, but generally the Northern Saw-whet is considered the smallest. So hopefully that little owl will move tonight when it gets dark. It'll move to a different place and find greater protection where it can hide throughout the days without having 50 blue jays and 30 chickadees harassing it all through the day. Now at the current time, I don't hear too much happening over there, but at some points there's been like 20 or 30 blue jays and a bunch of chickadees and nuthatches and just all around it calling and bugging it, I guess. But it just sits there stoically, and eventually they do seem to lose interest, I think, just because it doesn't react to them. But hopefully it'll find a better place. We've got quite a few spruce trees around here where it could find a much more protective place to stay. So hopefully it'll find one of those tonight and move in there. And as you can see, the snow is coming harder now. At about 10:30, we're just finishing up our walk here. Been out for about an hour and a half. Hope you enjoyed that little outing and seeing the Saw-whet Owl this morning.